Hi, my name is Ernesto Rendon. I'm currently a freshman at Florida State University, and I want to talk a little bit about what justice means and what it means to me. So, from the earliest forms of civilization, justice has been at the crux of it. From the earliest days of society, people had known that some sort of system or set of rules had to be developed and utilized in order to keep people from simply doing whatever they wanted without repercussions. Justice is the pursuit of that which is universally agreed upon as fair and has been a notoriously puzzling conundrum throughout our history. What is fair and what isn't? Does justice have to be absolute? Should we forgive people for their actions every single time? Thankfully, hundreds of centuries of philosophers and scholars have pondered these questions in order to provide us with their breadth of their theories. The definition of justice will also differ from person to person based on their own experiences, upbringings, and beliefs. This has famously been unresolved as far as international unanimity, but the result of trying to answer these questions has placed us living in the most peaceful era in human history. To me, justice is the pursuit of what is proper, what is moral, and what is right. Ultimately, ensuring that everyone is treated the way that they would like to be treated. The pursuit of this end has for the most part led us in the right direction, and we define eras by the justices that were given and the justices that were taken away. Starting anywhere near the start of our history, as time goes on, the frequency and magnitude of conflicts has always gone down, save for a few outliers. It is without a doubt the period I enjoyed living the most, this one. However, injustice will always be found somewhere, and it is our sacred duty not only as Americans, but as human beings, to seek out injustice wherever it may lie and work towards eliminating it. The United States of America is no exception. While we have it pretty good nowadays, today's society isn't exactly a perfect union. Race and sexuality has always been an issue for us, defining, categorizing, compartmentalizing, patronizing, segregating, and limiting. I've been fortunate enough to live in an era where I can attend a school where we are judged by the contents of our minds and hearts, and not by how dark we are or who we love. However, this is unfortunately not the case for everybody in America, and indeed for those outside our borders. Pervasive injustices exist within the infrastructure of every society. The persistence of conscious and subconscious racism, sexism, and sexualism, and how it seeps into the way we own and run businesses, the way we admit students into college, and the way we see our fellow man walking down the street. I'm a firm believer that at the crux of these modern issues is ultimately the wealth and class of people. As one's wealth and success increases, the importance of their skin or preferences seems to diminish. The struggles for civil liberties in America are a beacon of justice in a world plagued by closed-mindedness and exclusivity. The fight for justice is something anyone can relate to, even those who have never experienced any aforementioned injustice. They can look back to an era where essentially no one had any rights whatsoever and were governed unfairly by someone who could with a whim decide to execute you. The triumph of the Magna Carta, the poverty-stricken estates deciding to overthrow a corrupt monarchy in France, or the men who dared to break off from their unjust ruler and form their own united colonies. Our belief in ourselves and in others has only expanded the rights for people to participate in the world on their own terms. It is imperative that we work towards economic equality and fairness, and in this way we enact justice by fighting injustice. This is what I believe. What I would like to see change in our society is the way we value professions, the way the ultra-wealthy interact with the government, and the way we handle assistance to the needy. I served as a teacher's assistant for a third-grade teacher in my senior year of high school to fulfill an internship requirement. She was a mother of two and worked tirelessly to provide the best education for her students. The average salary for a teacher in Florida is $46,598. While it may seem decent enough for a career when taking into account the fact that many, if not all, teachers required a college degree in education in order to secure the job, so they have to budget in student loan payments. In addition, they also have to pay for their own living expenses, as well as more often than not, paying out of their own pocket for supplies that young students require. It has become a very big issue in the last few years, but only until I saw personally how it affected my mentor did I start caring about it. I never knew exactly how much she specifically made annually, as I thought it was inappropriate to ask, but I knew that she would always be stressing about asking the parents for supplies, as there is often no other way to obtain them. Supplies like napkins, foodstuffs for lessons for third graders, hand sanitizer, class sets of pens, pencils, markers, papers, folders, binders, staplers, scissors, books, and everything and anything else. Thankfully, her students were often children of affluent and well-off families, so this was never a crippling issue. Teachers across the nation, however, cannot claim to be this fortunate, and many are thousands of dollars in debt to pay for the life and the education of the next generation, and are thrown to the wolves. Many people who are responsible for the things we don't give a second thought to are being undervalued, underpaid, and absolutely overworked. Teachers and educators are responsible for the shaping of millions of minds and should be making much more than a measly $46,000 a year. It's heartbreaking to see so many happy and optimistic people, those who are drawn to the profession and love doing it, struggle every single day to make ends meet, fund their own occupations, and handle the pressures that the overblown bureaucratic American education system places upon them year after year. I am everything I am because of my education, and I'm left without words to express my gratitude for everything my teachers and professors have done for me. And while I know that I do not have the patience required to be a teacher or a professional educator of any sort, something else that is sordidly underappreciated, I will do everything I possibly can to assist them in my future. It is a cause that has become very dear to me over the course of my internship with my mentor and over the course of my life, and something I hope to help at in any way I can in the future, be it donations of money or supplies to my future children's teachers, volunteering at schools, chaperoning trips, and especially being an active and informed voter when education reform laws and bills come to a vote. It's unfair that the people responsible for the future of this country are an economic stranglehold, and I believe that this will have a ripple effect on all other aspects of our society, as every single child in America is required by law to attend school. This requirement has no doubt had an enormous impact on generations of Americans, but hasn't gone far enough. Overworked and underpaid teachers can become jaded and angry and empty, all because of a flawed educational and economic system. The exact opposite people you'd want teaching your children are actually doing it, and the limited financial prospects of a career in primary and secondary education, those in elementary, middle, and high, do not bode well for the future. I attended a high school where the teachers were actually pretty well regarded and were compensated fairly by way of involvement and connection of alumni, not unlike a university. I loved my high school and plan to get involved as an alum just the same. But not all teachers fresh out of college can get jobs at schools that I attended to, and so for the majority they must take jobs where this may not be the case, and where budget cuts and restrictions are the norm year after year. The general atmosphere of things looking bleaker and bleaker are not conducive for an environment where students are invigorated with the sheer amount of possibilities in their futures, and instead are cynical and antagonistic to education, the educational system, and society at large. It is an insidious and malicious problem that's been plaguing the school system for decades now, and one that I feel has to be addressed as soon as possible. With education reform, we could afford to fund teachers, professors, and educators. We could get them to start enjoying their own professions, to focus on learning plans and experiences without having to worry about either paying their light bill or getting the kids a Christmas party. They could show students the very best of life and urge them that trying your best is absolutely necessary in everything that you do, because the character of oneself and of your ambition is the only thing that limits you here in America, not wealthy lobbyists looking to raise their portfolio 0.2% in the next fiscal year. It encourages hope, perseverance, and exploration not only in the world but in themselves as well. Funding can provide arts classes to students who would otherwise have no exposure, allowing them to develop an appreciation for something other than writing essays, taking tests, or doing algebra all day long. Theater, band, orchestra, studio art, movie production, and others are slowly being eradicated in the name of STEM, science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. But this would not be the case if the funding was there to keep all of them alive. It's about justice for the kids, those who are responsible for the future of this nation. Not just trying to increase your own wealth, but planting the seeds for success, knowing that you will never experience the shade of that seed's tree. Selflessness and altruism is the key to a harmonious union, the consideration of others, and making sure that others are taken care of before yourself. And in this way, we are all fighting for justice, and we must never stop to ensure that everyone has an equal chance to become as happy and as successful as they want to be. Thank you.